What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Here we are with another video, another cooking with Momo. Today we're going to be making one pan chicken and rice. Yes, you heard it right, one pan. Not much cleanup after. I know I hate doing dishes and getting the kitchen back straight after slaving over a hot stove. So I like to cook this meal when I don't feel like doing much in the kitchen. So if you are interested in learning how to make this, make sure you stay tuned to this video. Alright, so first things first, you always got to clean your chicken. I don't care what nobody say, that chicken needs to be washed, rinsed, scrubbed, all of that. What I like to do is put it in a bowl of warm water and then add some white vinegar, because vinegar is just the bomb.com for everything. So once you put in that vinegar, you're just going to want to take your chicken apart. Mine was thawed out, but it was still kind of sticking, that last little piece of ice. So once I got them all apart, you're just going to swish it around in that bowl, get the vinegar activated and all in there. And then once you start swishing it around, you'll see the water start to get murky and like kind of dark, like how you see there. But after you've let it soak for about 10 to 15 minutes, then you got your clean chicken. You'll hear it like scrub whenever it is, clean. You'll hear that little squeak. But once that's all done, you just pat it dry and start your seasoning. Now, me, myself, I love my meat to be super seasoned, and especially when I don't prepare the night before and marinate it. I have to make sure, my meats have a lot of seasoning, but make sure you be very careful because you can over salt your food, and nobody wants no salty meat. And I would have used a lot of different seasonings such as adobo and everything, but I am running low on all my seasonings, guys. Like I said, I like my food seasoned, so seasoning does not last long in my house, okay? So you're gonna season your chicken with whatever you like, but make sure to season it. Salt and pepper is not enough, okay? Gotta make love to the food, all right? You want to have it melt in your mouth. This home cook is the best. So you want to perfect it. See that? Another bottle empty. I didn't prepare for this video, guys. I was just like, let me turn on this camera. But it's all good. So for the one pan thing to work, it is going to have to be a cast iron because that's really the only pan you can use on the stove and in the oven. So if you don't have a cast iron, I'm sorry, this actually won't be a one pan meal for you all, but you can still make it if you want to transfer it, but it's just easier if you have a cast iron for sure. So once you got all those seasonings on there, you just shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Make sure every piece of chicken is covered in the seasoning goodness. And that's what it's gonna look like after. And I've already went ahead and turned my cast iron on medium, and I put some vegetable oil, not too much, just like an inch. So whenever we put that chicken in there, we're gonna hear a little sizzle. Yes, you see that sizzle? Okay. And you only want to put that much in there because we're not going to actually fully cook the chicken. We're just going to brown it a little bit so it can have a nice color before we put it in the oven. Featuring my baby in the back. She's just chilling in her high chair watching mommy cook like always. Alright, so I know I said one pan, but I always like to try to incorporate at least one vegetable in every dinner meal because why not? Vegetables are good for you and it's a nice little side. So what I had was some French string beans, and literally every time I get these, they're on accident, but whenever I cook them, I'm pretty satisfied with them. Usually I get the regular string beans, but it's all good. And we're just gonna go ahead and check on that chicken, and we're just gonna flip it because again, we're not cooking it fully, we're just gonna brown it. So far, it's looking good, looking good. Alright, so we'll give the other side a few minutes, and I think when I made this video it was about maybe 5 to 7 minutes on each side. And I like to season my green beans as well, so we have a little season all, just to give it a little salt, and lid on. So that's how my chicken is looking so far. So we're not cooking it all the way, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take it out. Ooh, look at the other side, nice and brown. That's what we want to see. So we're just gonna take all of those out the pan and then just set them to the side for now. All right, so next step is to go ahead and add some onions to the pot, which I already had these chopped up. So you're just gonna dice those up, not too much. I don't really, care for onions. I can take them, but I really don't like to have the full texture in my mouth. So I diced them out super small just to get the flavor. We're just gonna whisk that around until they're a little bit brown. I'm just gonna make sure to watch that because we don't want them burnt. It's super easy to burn onions in a skillet. And then I'm just gonna add a little minced garlic for some more flavor. And right now we're just getting prepared to make our rice. Just a forkful of garlic, not too much. So you're just gonna whisk that around for about 5 minutes or until it's a nice golden brown. So with the rice, I have my 1 cup measuring cup, and the rice that I'm using is Goya rice. I usually use Goya, jasmine, or blue ribbon, but during quarantine we are limited on the rice. It seems like it's never in the aisle, so we're using Goya this time, but I like Goya anyways. So I do realize that it's kind of hard for some people to make rice, so for every 1 cup of rice it's 2 cups of water. So as long as you remember that, you're good. So I put in 2 cups of rice, and before we add the water, we're just gonna brown it with those onions and garlic just to enhance that flavor in the rice before we water it down. Just gonna keep stirring and keep stirring. You're gonna keep stirring that rice around until that's also a nice golden brown. A little playtime with my baby. She thinks I'm so funny. She's the only one though, but I'm okay with that. You just keep browning that rice until your heart is content and you are satisfied with it. And after that, we are gonna go ahead and begin to add the water. And like I said before, for every 1 cup of every 1 cup of rice is 2 cups of water. So I'm gonna take that same measuring cup. And so because I had 2 cups of rice, it's gonna be 4 cups of water. just gonna stir that around once more, get it even. All right, so the thing with rice is whenever you see that water start to boil, that is when you're going to turn it down low and then let it cook itself. So once you see it simmering, that's when you know to turn it low, and that's the trick with rice. So now that it's boiling, I went ahead and turned my pot down, and I'm just going to add my chicken back in. You want to give it a little space so we can have that rice cooking between it as well. Alright, so now that we added the chicken in, we're just going to go ahead and turn off our stove, and we're going to get ready to put it in the oven. So just grab some aluminum foil and then place it on there best you know how. I really wanted to get this nice and tight, but of course the pot is still hot because we're using the same one pot. So I couldn't pour it in another one that's already cool. So I had to get my little oven mitts out and push it down best way I could. And I already had my oven preheated to 425. It may differ a little bit depending on if your oven runs hot or not. If it does run hot, then I would do maybe 415. At this point, my foil was coming up, so I had to try and push it back down again. This was taking me so long. And so I'm just going to go ahead and leave that in the oven for about 40 minutes and watch the magic. So this is how it's going to look after it is all finished. The rice was nice and moist, and the chicken went ahead and finished cooking in the pot as well, and it was nice and juicy. So we're just going to scoop some out on a plate, and oh my gosh, guys, it was so good. This is like the simplest meal ever, just one pan. You cannot beat it, okay? You just can't. Of course, I cannot forget my vegetables, so this is how my plate ended up looking in the end, and it was delicious. So if you guys want to see more videos, make sure to comment on my video and make sure you subscribe so you'll see when I post again. But until next time, later.